Chapter 2. Early Days. On November 26, 1942, at around 5 p.m., a 17-year-old girl was admitted to King County Hospital in Seattle. The next morning, at 10:15 a.m., she gave birth to an 8-pound boy with lots of hair and big eyes. The girl was Lucille Jeter Hendrix, and the child, whom she named Johnny Allen Hendrix, would later become James Marshall Hendrix and eventually Jimi Hendrix. Lucille Jeter had been just 16 years old and already pregnant when she married Al Hendrix, Jimi's father. Lucille was the last of 8 children born to Preston and Clarice Jeter. Clarice, born in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1894, counted both slaves and Cherokees among her ancestors. Preston Jeter was 19 years older. The son of a former slave, he was born in Richmond, Virginia, on July 14, 1875. As a young man, Preston witnessed a lynching and decided to leave the South for the Northwest, where he met and married Clarice. Clarice's sisters had brought her to Seattle in search of a husband because she was pregnant as the result of a rape. They placed a newspaper ad, which Preston answered. He finally agreed to marry her after the child was born and put up for adoption. By way of a reward, Clarice's sisters gave him a sizable dowry. Clarice worked as a domestic servant, while Preston worked as a longshoreman. Of their 8 children, 2 died in infancy, and 2 were given up for adoption. When Lucille was born on October 12, 1925, she was at first raised by her sisters Nancy, Gertrude, and Dolores because of her parents' poor health. Later, the children were fostered for a time with a big German farm family north of Green Lake, Washington. Lucille grew up pretty, tiny, and pale-skinned. She was not allowed to go to dances until she was 15, but then she made up for lost time. In November 1941, Lucille, just turned 16 and still in junior high school, stopped by the home of a classmate on her way to one such dance. The classmate had a visitor, a young man from Canada named Al Hendrix. The dancer from Vancouver. James Allen Al Hendrix, Jimi's father, was born on June 10, 1919, in Vancouver, British Columbia. His father, Bertrand Philander Ross Hendrix, born in Urbana, Ohio, in 1866, had been a special constable in Chicago and a stagehand in a vaudeville troupe. While touring with the troupe, he met and married a dancer named Nora Rose Moore. Unhappy with conditions for blacks in the United States, he took her north to Canada in 1912. Al was their 4th child, following Leon, Patricia, and Frank. Al remembered his early years fondly. "We were always together, and I was well taken care of," he said. But in 1932, his oldest brother, Leon, died of peritonitis brought on by a ruptured appendix. 2 years later, Al's father died. The family broke up. Pat and Frank got married, and Al, just 15 years old, had to fend for himself. Al stood only a little over 5 feet tall, but he tried boxing and did well enough to make it to the finals of the Big Golden Gloves tournament in Seattle in 1936. But, he said, "I didn't have the killer instinct." Dancing was another matter. Al loved dancing. He began performing with the White Band in Vancouver and doing guest spots with touring vaudeville shows that came to town. But he could not make a living as a dancer, and he could not find any other jobs. He was too small to work for the railroads, who offered the best jobs available for black people in Vancouver.